both hands. So the first one is just going to take left hand fingers that are adjacent. So we're just going to play 4 to 3 a few times. Both hands. So the first one is just going to take left hand fingers that are adjacent. So we're just going to play 4 to 3 a few times. As we do this, we're alternating our fingers. And to get from one finger to the next, there's a little sequence you want to think about. So you're going to play with your fourth finger. Now, before you lift the fourth finger, you're going to place the third finger down. Again, high edge of the fret, fingertips, etc. Once the third finger is placed down, you're going to then lift the fourth finger, and you're going to play. You'll be using I and then M in the right hand. Now, the reason for keeping these down is, you see this little spread that I've got here? This is called finger independence. I don't have my fingers scrunched up. I'm training them over time to be independent of one another, to be able to move from that knuckle, and to keep another finger stationary. And with practice over time, you'll be amazed at how limber and how easy it will be to move your fingers in different positions. So, getting back to our exercise here, 4 to 3, and we'll do that 4 times, and then you would go on, and when you're done, you're holding the third finger down. Now you're going to play 3 and 2 next, so you're going to place the second finger down before you lift the third finger, and then you're going to lift and you're going to play. Back to 3, back to 2. And you might do that 4 times, or 10, or as many times as you feel like it takes to get comfortable with it. Then, once 3 and 2 are done, you hold the second finger down, you place the first finger down. Again, that first finger is going to lean back a little bit. So you'd play and then you're going to ascend with these. So then you'd play 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4. Now, on the way down, you held down the note you last played and then put the next lower finger down and then lifted. Now it's the opposite here. You're going to hold down the finger that you play until you place the next higher finger down, then you can lift up. Now you could keep your finger down here too if you want, if that's comfortable. Again, that will build more finger independence, but you don't want to do this. You might just let go of the pressure, but you might be just contacting the string. So it would look like this. And then you're going to go from 2 to 3, hold 2 down, you can lift 1. And then you can go from 3 to 4, and you're placing 4 down, lift 2. So here's the exercise in its entirety for you to play along with. I'm going to just play each finger combination 1 time. Here we go. Now, once you're done with this, again, you could repeat each one of these 4 times and go on to each finger. Or you could just do it 1 time like I did. After you're done, you could bring it down and start 1 fret lower where your 4th finger is at the 11th fret. As an example, and you could take this all the way down to the 1st fret. Now, you may find on your way down where your finger, to getting to the point where your 1st finger is at the 1st fret and your 4th finger is at the 4th fret, you might find that this is a really big stretch, because it is. So you may find that you can only get to the 7th fret with your 1st finger before it starts to feel like it's a little uncomfortable. No worries. This is not a no pain, no gain situation. This is a comfort wins. So over time, just build up the ability to stretch a little bit more, and you'll get there. The other thing you could do is you could just move to another string and play. Etc., taking it all the way through all 6 strings. Now, if you're moving this way, your thumb will move, the whole hand will keep that C shape. You're just going to move lower and lower. So that's the first exercise with some variations on it. The second exercise is simply playing 3-note groups. So here it is. It's 4, 3, 4, and then 3. Three, 2, 3, and then 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, because we're ascending now, 2, 3, 2, and then 3, 4, 3. And then you might end just playing the final note because it sounds good. Now this is all available to you in standard notation and tab. So if you're getting a little bit confused with exactly what we're doing, just check out the tab or watch me play it one time now. Again, you could take that down the neck or onto other strings if you want. So that's the second exercise. Now the third exercise combines adjacent fingers and non-adjacent fingers. So we start with all of the 4th finger combinations that descend. 4 to 3, 4 to 2, 4 to 1. After that, we're going to take the 3rd finger and the 2nd finger descending groups and play those. 3, 2, 3, 1, 2 to 1. Then it's time to ascend. We're going to start with the 1st finger and we're going to play the ascending combinations with the 1st finger. 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. Then we're going to ascend with the 2nd finger and 3rd finger combinations. 2, 3, 2, 4, and 3, 4. So again, if we put that together into something that you can play with, here we go. So we've got your left hand and right hand synchronized. We're alternating our right hand fingers as well as our left hand fingers. And we're doing it all on one string. Now, it's time to take our right hand and move as we're playing to different strings. This is called right hand string crossing. And there are 2 ways you cross. There's the simple and the complex. In classical guitar, you have to do both. So let's define both and then put them together into some exercises. So a simple cross is when a lower finger in the right hand is moving to a lower string if you're going down. So what that means is if you just look at my hand, if I just place my middle finger on the 1st string and I place my index finger on the 2nd string, I've got M and I, you can see the hand just naturally does this. And so it's easy for me to play here with the M finger on the 1st string and then play on the 2nd string with my I finger. Now, if I reverse this and I play with my index finger on the 1st string, we have a complex cross. That's where you're going from a higher finger to a lower string. So you'll start here, right? And you see that in order to get the M finger to the next string, I do have to move my hand. So again, simple, Simple because it falls into the hand pretty easily. Complex because it requires more movement. So we're going to start with an exercise for simple crossing only. We're going to play 4 notes on each string. And then we're going to cross to the next string. We're going to alternate our fingers, I, am, I, am. So when we move to the next string, we're always going to be starting with the lower finger. So it'll always be a simple cross all the way down. Once again, we're moving here with this idea of our elbow being grabbed and our hand being pulled back as I described in the very first exercise you did. One thing that I slipped in here for you is I prepared you a little bit for doing this exercise. One thing that classical guitarists like to do is when they're learning pieces is to take some of the more challenging spots and learn them in advance, or while you're going through the other parts of the piece, you're practicing those parts more intently, or intensely, if you will, so that by the time you get to the spots where you can put everything together, you've had more practice time on the more complicated things. So, long way of saying that we've sort of prepared you for this. So, here you go. You're going to play 4 notes on the first string, and you're going to have your thumb always 2 strings below. In this case, you start with the thumb on the 3rd string G. It's always out in front. Here we go. Now, when we finish this, our index finger has released into the air and is ready to play on the first string. So what we do simply here is we just take our hand and we move it down. Right, the M finger is tucked in the hand. It's just going to stay tucked and move with it. If it lands on the next string, great. It may or may not. And then the index finger is ready to play, and it plays 4 notes here. Once again, it's ready to play. We move. We move. Now when we get to the 5th string, we don't have anywhere to go with our thumb, so we just hold it here, and we have our hand in a little tighter, compact position to play. And then as discussed with the 6th string, we don't have anywhere to put our thumb, so we take it off. Now slow down if you find that it takes a little bit longer. To get these fingers to alternate without the thumb being there to stabilize the hand. Now once we're done, we're actually going to come back up. We're going to add in a complex cross. So once you're done on the 6th string, you're going to then put your thumb back down on the 6th string. You move to the 5th string, so you'll be here. Now we're going to do a complex cross here because it would be easier to just move from index to middle, because we're going to a higher string, right? Higher sounding string, and we're using a higher finger. So after you're done, you now have to reach out with the index finger, the I finger. So you put our thumb down, and then we play on the 5th string. And when we're done here, we keep the thumb here, and we move our fingers to the 4th string to have that two-string spread, if you will, and we play. And then we take the whole thing and we move it up. Again. And finally. As you get used to this, take as much time as you need in between the cross. That's the moment of truth, if you will, as to whether your fingers will get there or not. So practice, and then take your time to set yourself up and become very comfortable with this. The next exercise for right hand crossing involves both simple and complex at the same time. To do this, we're going to play 3 notes per string. And that way, every other string is going to be a simple or complex cross. We're going to go down the strings and back up. So let me just explain a little bit of this for you. So again, thumbs on the 3rd string, and we're going to start with our index finger, our I finger. We're going to play 3 notes. Now, because we played 3 notes, the middle finger is the one that's ready to play next. So now you're going to move to the next string with a complex cross. Then when you're done, you're going to move to the next string and you have all set up a simple cross. And then you have a complex cross. And then you have a simple cross. And then you have complex with no thumb. All right, back to simple. Or actually, excuse me, now we're reversing things. So this is also going to be a complex cross. Now the next one, with the M finger moving to the higher string here, that is the simple cross. On the complex, on the simple, on to complex. And we made it. So, let me play both of these exercises for you. The simple descending and complex ascending with the index finger starting, and then the 3-note group with the IMI or MIM, simple and complex crossings combined. So here we go. 4 notes per string, simple down, complex up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the 3-note group. 1, 2, 3. Now that we've got our right hand crossing down and we've got our left hand finger synchronization exercises that we've been working on, and you have been practicing them, haven't you? Okay, now that you've got all that down, we're going to put that all together to play major scales. Now, if you're not familiar with a major scale, or a minor scale for that matter, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail. But there are plenty of other courses and resources for you to explore in great detail major scales and minor scales. We're going to use them for guitar playing purposes here. So here's what you need to know. A major scale has 7 tones in it. And they, after the 7th, you go on and repeat the first one you started with. So if we're going to play a C major scale, we're just going to play the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Right? We started with C, we went to B, that's 7, and then we add in the C for finality, and that's 8. So if I play that, it's just going to sound like this. Don't worry about what I'm doing, we'll explain that in just a minute. Now, you might have heard that as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, if you're familiar with solfege, or you might have heard other people talking about it. And that's one way to think about the sound of it. The other way to think about it is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or just That's what a major scale sounds like. And as you spend more time playing these, you'll get more familiar with what they sound like. Now, again, for guitar purposes, we also use them as great ways to train our fingers. And since scales are the foundation of music, we get to do two things at once. So let me take you through what I'm doing here, and then we'll add a couple of other scale combinations in. So we're going to go to the fifth string, we're going to go to the third string, fifth fret, got a little backwards. So we've got our first finger on the fifth fret here, and then we're going to play index finger. We're just going to alternate all the way through. So we're going to play this note, C. Then we're going to play on the same string with our third finger at the seventh fret. We're going to play D. Then we're going to move to the next string, second string, fifth fret with our first finger. We're going to play E. And then second finger, we're going to play on the sixth fret, we're going to play F. And then eighth fret, with the fourth finger, we're going to play G. Then first finger on the fifth fret of the first string, we're going to play A. And then we're going to play third finger on the seventh fret of that string, B, and finally C. So I'm going to play this for you 2 times now. I'm going to call out the letter names, and I'm going to call out the finger numbers. Finger numbers first. 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Now descending, that would be 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1. Now I'm descending because you want to play them ascending and descending as well. And now the letter names. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So when I practice these, if I'm learning them and they're new, I would practice them, or I'd suggest to you practice them by saying 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, etc. And maybe sing them. Maybe this is the part of practicing you do when no one else is home. I do my best singing when no one else is around. Anyway, back to guitar playing. Then you might say or sing the letter names. And then you might just play it and not say anything and just listen to the sound. One of the great things about scales on the guitar is that these fingerings are what is called transposable. That is, that if I take this finger pattern that I just gave you and I move it up 2 frets, so instead of starting at the 5th fret, I start at the 3rd string, 7th fret, and I play the exact same thing. I've just played a D major scale. Now, on a guitar, you don't actually have to know the names of the notes you just played. You could just take the fingering and move it up. Now, because we're classical guitarists, we should know the names of the notes. So this is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. Now, if you're not sure what a sharp is, don't worry about that. Just call it F sharp and call it C sharp. And at a later time, you'll be exposed to what those mean, and you'll have a head start. Again, we don't want to get into a lot of theory here. We want to focus primarily on playing the guitar. Now, there's one more scale I want to give you because it's going to be involved in our next segment when we put this together and we actually play an etude in the key of A major. So here's your A major scale. I'm just going to call out again the names of the notes. Again, you're going to hear some sharps. Let that go. Just get to know what we're doing. So you're at the 3rd string, 2nd fret, 1st finger. So it's A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B, A. So you could take those three scales and you could play up them a couple of times. Like I said, calling out the letter names, calling out the fingers, just listening if you want, or just listen. Play them all a couple of times and move from one to the next. As you noticed, it's combining everything that we've talked about so far. Familiarize yourself with this, and then we get to put it all together in a nice little etude.